big game for Penrith this week, Coops. Magic round on Sunday against the Broncos.
I thought they were back against the Roosters. We spoke about some of the Penrith-like traits, but again, on Manly, look, they're trying to do the same things. And to be fair, in their defence, it's held them up for a long period of time. But just trying to replicate the same thing with some players not being able to do it as well or required to the level is forcing some of their better players to try and do a lot more. And they look a little bit like, not out of answers, but they look very frustrated with what's happening at the moment. Because they are trying hard, but it's just not turning.
Yeah. I mean, you think about all the things that underpins this. Like, we can talk about things every week, but you know, in themselves, They'll be questioning. Will Ivan be questioning? Okay, motivation, the fire in the belly, because you know the fire in the belly is not an eternal flame. Sometimes it subsides. Now this is a team that's gone for 5 comps in a row. It's been remarkable, and the amount of football they've played. But there are certain things, Coops, that we have spoken about for quite a while that we've seen slowly creeping into the game. And we understand as playmakers sometimes how you can get into certain habits. Yeah. And we've spoken about this, and I'll talk about Nathan specifically here. But we've said for a while, I find those cross shapes like that, I find them dangerous. Yep. Now, what I mean by dangerous is, not in the short, I'm talking about what it starts to do to playmakers in the long term. What actually starts to happen is you start to get into that mode of going across, and you start, if you're not careful, you start to lose your upfield punch.
Yeah. When your hips are east-west, for example, as opposed to north-south, you become less effective as a ball player, right? So whether you can run a crossfield 4 or 5 times, doesn't matter, but you need to, at some stage, get your hips back to square to the defensive line and then be able to move. That's one aspect. The other part to Penrith is they've won 4 in a row because of their defence. And I feel like on the weekend, the right side of Manly went after that left edge of Penrith. Now, their right edge, Penrith's right edge defensively is Martin, Cleary, Tungo and Alamotti. Experienced guys who have done it before. Their left edge is Talangi, McLean and Jenkins. Yeah. Inexperienced, and Manly went after it. Now, I think what might need to happen at Penrith is maybe move a couple of players around. You're not moving Nathan because he's right-sided player, but you might have to move Tungo or Martin just to balance it out until To'o sort of comes back. But that's one thing that I reckon Penrith probably need to do.
It feeds in, don't like you see the frustration in attack that is producing errors, and then the errors at the moment they're unable to absorb their defence.
They can't defend it, whereas they used to be able to. They didn't have the errors. Now they were able to defend the errors too.
And it is train spotting what we're talking about. Yeah. But as playmakers, that as you said before about the hips, I always found, we at Newcastle in the mid-90s, we started playing a lot of those shapes, dropping under. And suddenly I found myself, I lost my upfield punch. I'm playing sideways all the time. It took a fair bit to correct that. And one of the things that was important to me is on reception, outside foot up. Catch early. And do not let this shoulder roll across. Because as we said, that when the shoulder rolls across, you can't go back. The shoulder rolls, it means the hips are out of position. So it was little cues like that, trying to get that little bit of punch back into the game.
The reason why we talk about hips as well is if I'm trying to go down the field and my eyes follow my hips, I will see a lot more in what I can run, pass or take on. If I start turning sideways, I'm then losing a big chunk of what I can do on the inside, whether it's a pass or a right foot back inside, depending on which side of the field you are. So, a couple of things there, but they're easily fixed for someone like Nathan, who can do it better than most.
Because I think how you adjust it, how you fix it. You don't fix it on the run during the game. It's something that you have to get to training, and you run certain drills to go, okay, let's get the squareness. And some of those drills you do are like the ones that we used to do years ago. As simple as throwing hats out, A, B, C, ruck. ABC, and actually start to feel yourself getting to target as defender square.
And then on the flip side, they're becoming predictable because we spoke about this before, is that defences now aren't going sideways when the drop-off runner comes. They're going forward to stop that forward momentum.